Hello, reptile entrepreneurs. This is Bill Strand, and today we are going to go over a case study. Ryan Dumas of Rad Reptiles and the Let's Talk Turtles podcast has been generous enough to allow us to use his situation as an educational opportunity. Ryan has interest in two somewhat diverse fields, turtles and snake breeding. And of course, the question is, how do you design an outreach that fulfills your goals when you have different interests? And so I'm going to bring Ryan on. We're going to have an interview in where we discuss what Ryan is doing now and what his goals may be in the future. And when the interview is over, I'm going to come back on and we're going to do an analysis and discussion, and we're going to see what we can learn from the situation and apply to our own outreaches. And so, please join me in welcoming Ryan Dumas to the Reptile Entrepreneur Podcast. Welcome, Reptile Entrepreneurs. We are here for another episode, and we're going to be talking about websites and putting everything together from the beginning. And with me today is Ryan Dumas from Rad Reptiles. Welcome, Ryan.
Hey, thanks for having me. Nice to be here with you, Bill.
You have started an outreach for Rad Reptiles, and so let's go ahead and start at the beginning. What is Rad Reptiles, and what is your plan for that outreach?
Rad Reptiles is basically the name I've given to my reptile breeding business. I specialize in working with carpet pythons and rat snakes, and over the last couple of years, I've really ventured out into turtles and tortoises as well. Rad is, we might touch on that at some point, but Rad is just my initials. I'm Ryan Andrew Dumas, so it kind of worked nicely. Flowed, okay. And I kind of created it maybe 6 years ago and slowly did it. And it's funny because I started listening to your podcast earlier this year, and some of the steps I went through that you recommended, and some I would have benefited from listening to you earlier. But yeah, it's kind of carried on, and this past probably 12 months, and I think that's why I found your podcast, your Reptile Entrepreneur podcast, is I really wanted to make it a little more professional, invest real time into it, realistic time for myself, and it felt like the time to do it. That was a long way of me saying, I specialize in breeding carpet pythons, rat snakes, and turtles. And I've been doing that at a home for maybe 7 years. Professionally, I've been working in AZA zoos and aquariums for almost 15 years now, so a lot of different experiences. I bring a lot of perspective from the private side of the things, which I 100% support, as well as from the zoological side, the professional side. So it's interesting.
You said that you decided now it's time to get more serious about it. What were you doing before that point in time?
Well, it was Facebook, and it was pretty much only Facebook until the big crackdown on animal sales, where people were losing pages. And so I kind of opened up an Instagram account, and kind of those are basically the only two platforms I really did. It was just sharing pictures and kind of giving people updates, and it seemed like not a lot of time investment, but also not a lot of return either. I started making YouTube videos in the pandemic. I think a lot of people did. And those are still out there at Rad Reptiles, and I'd like to put a little more effort into those as well. But those are the main things. And then, I had a website initially. So I'm sorry, I'm all out of sorts here. But when I created my own logo, probably 6 months after deciding I'm going to go ahead and run this as like a DBA, doing business as, and it was not a great logo. And I used it for probably a year. And I wanted to make sure I was going to stick with this and that I was going to do it. And then I decided to invest in a professional logo, which I don't know if you can see that on there. But it was a nice, whatever.
Yep, we can see it.
It's I paid a professional to do this, Justin Kane. He has no real ties to the herpetological community. He was a graphic designer in an aquarium I worked at. He's a really nice guy, does really good work, and he worked with me really closely to get that to me and to give it to me in multiple file formats, vector files, AI, PNG, and that was extremely helpful, and I have not taken full advantage of that yet. I don't have like merchandise and things like that. And that, at the same time, I decided now that I have this big logo, I'd like to get it out there, and I went to GoDaddy, and I bought a domain name, rad-reptiles.com, and I've had that for close to 6 years. I initially opened a website. I did what I could with the web builder. I paid for like 6 months. I liked it, but it wasn't what it didn't feel whole. It wasn't what I wanted. So when it was time to renew, I did not renew because I wasn't putting in the time to maintain it, and I wasn't happy with the product. So I maintained the domain name and was like, I'll get back to the website later. In the meantime, like I said, I tried to grow my following on Instagram. Not hard, just organic stuff. I'm not really pushing very hard. I probably should a little more, but and then YouTube, and then I started a podcast last year with my wife and I mostly, and that has now morphed into having a couple another co-host on some of the episodes, which is I'm really starting to really like. Add a little bit of diversity to what I'm putting out there. And as that was coming together, I decided I really wanted to put together a website, and this is very much based on listening to you. You're right? I didn't want all the work that I put into it to be in someone else's hands totally. If Instagram went down for whatever reason, if Facebook changed their things, I did not like the fact that all of that data and customers and connections I had to get lost. So for the last like 2 to 3 months, I have been working with GoDaddy again. I searched down different things. I ended up on GoDaddy because I was already there, and they have drastically improved their web builder. And the one thing I really wanted to do is I've been writing a lot, and I wanted an outlet for that. I wanted to have a blog. I know it's a little archaic, I think, to have a blog, but I enjoy writing. I enjoy providing updates, and they didn't have that for a while. Now they do, and the nice thing about GoDaddy is you don't have to pay for anything to actually just put together a website. I tried with Wix, and you have like a 7-day trial at the time, and then I didn't have access to it anymore. I couldn't keep editing it. But GoDaddy, I had it up and I let it go for, like I said, 2 or 3 months. And I could edit it and go along with things, see if I liked it before paying for the service and paying and doing all that. And that was very nice for me to kind of fine tune it to what I wanted. And I felt comfortable with it. And then really I just needed a kick in the pants. And I happened to reach out to you and was like, hey, how do you feel about web builders? There's still kind of, I'm putting some stuff in someone else's hands, but it feels a lot more stable than any social media and relying on that. So you were like, yeah, I think you should publish it. And I was like, that's the kick I needed. And I went ahead and published it, and I'm very, very happy with it so far.
To be clear, a web builder, say on GoDaddy or Bluehost or any of these, is not a platform. It's just a tool to help you build a WordPress website. So that just helps you get over all of the technical back stuff and understanding that's needed when you start a WordPress site. But that is what I'd really like to talk to you about today, is your experiences in that web builder. How easy did you find it to work with a web builder? And is it giving you the functionality that you want?
I'm comparing it to the first time I tried to use GoDaddy, and it's drastically different. It's very intuitive, very easy to do. There were a time or two where I wasn't sure exactly how to do something, and there are a bazillion, that's a real number, I'm sure, YouTube videos that will tell you exactly how to do it, and I just had no problem. Setting it up was like the easier part. Filling it out with the content that I felt looked good was definitely the harder part. So I would definitely recommend checking out GoDaddy and seeing how intuitive it is to use. See if it has the look you want. Like one of the perks that I found was like I could upload my logo, and it knew the colors, like the digital colors, like the 6-digit color IDs, and would instantly say, would you like to use these 3 colors of your logo as like the theme of your website, and immediately applied it, and it looked great.
Yep.
Like those types of things that they've added that make it really simple and really effective.
So let's go back to the original desire for you to have a website. What functionality did you want from that website? As in, how would you measure that your website is giving you what you want?
Honestly, I don't know yet. The main reason I did want a website is, one, I think it definitely has some a little more touch of professionalism. That I've invested that time, and I think that's accommodating for potential paying guests and whatnot. And I also kind of wanted it to be a hub. I wanted kind of everything that I had out there on different platforms to kind of funnel back into the website. So that maybe someone saw my YouTube video and they saw the website on there and they'd go to the website and be like, oh, this guy's got Instagram. Oh, he's got a podcast. Oh, he's got available animals. And like, so no matter what platform I had out there, I wanted to funnel back in there so they could see other things that I was trying to offer at that time. And like you said, since it's a lot more stable of a platform still, it felt like the safest way to be the central point for anything I'm offering.
Now, you also have a podcast that you started. How does that fit into your plan?
Well, I find it very helpful. I started it because there weren't a lot of podcasts about turtles. It's called Let's Talk Turtles, by the way. I'll plug myself, sorry. And it started out with just my wife and I talking about turtles. My wife is, she's a zoo professional. She does a lot of water quality stuff. She's a lab technician there. And but she has a strong animal background, but not as specialized as me. So I love the dynamic between us, but life gets busy and it slowed down. And I felt like we took a break and I wanted to reinvigorate that. And the point of it was to just share what we're doing here, a little bit of life together, and then a little bit of what we're doing with our turtles and tortoises, and just share basic information to begin with and progressively become a little more developed in a conversation as the podcast matures. But she's run out of a little bit of time, which is totally understandable. She has a full-time job and a full-time mom too, amongst many other job functions. So a friend of mine, Tom Arbor, a really cool guy, Two Turtle Tom, reached out and we started talking. Yeah. And he is co-hosting a lot of the episodes coming up. So right now, I don't have a genuine plan for exactly how I want this to go. I'm exploring my wife's availability to kind of join in and share a little bit of our life, our personal life, as well as turtle stuff. And then Tom brings that camaraderie of a turtle enthusiast with guests. And so we have a lot of cool ones coming up. And I just kind of want to let it flow and see how that develops and see if we can kind of see if that helps us find some way to kind of funnel it and direct it. But I felt I wanted to be out there. I wanted to talk about stuff. I wanted to get information out. I wanted to meet people and talk to people. And it feels like a good time and to do it. So now more than ever, I'm a lot more determined and dedicated than I was. I've got podcast episodes ready to publish, but not. I've got my weekly blog post that it's a part of my website. I've got those scheduled out for a weekly blog well out in advance. So I'm getting way ahead of things and it feels good. But the podcast I definitely enjoy because it's just a different element of what I'm used to.
So what is your goal with having all of these outreach efforts? Are you trying to bolster your breeding business and earn money for that? Or is this just something you're doing because you enjoy it?
It's the second one primarily. I enjoy it. I've got a lot of different experience. I'm by no means an expert in anything, but I want to share that with people, and I want folks to maybe join in and share what they have and just be an informational hub. This is obviously something I'm very passionate about, reptiles in general. I mean, I kind of, as a zookeeper, I joke that we donate our lives to reptiles because it's not necessarily a lucrative career. But I just can't get enough of it. I have stuff here. I work with it at home, and my kids, my wife are kind of involved in it. So it's a little bit of everything, and I think it's such an interesting hobby and a rewarding hobby. Yes, I do breed and sell the animals that I produce. That's not the primary function that I'm serving right now. If that comes as a byproduct, that's fine. I just want people to know that this is a cool hobby and that there are a lot of avenues to participate in this hobby and contribute. And maybe one of these connects with you and gets you interested and you become a responsible reptile enthusiast, reptile keeper.
So would you say that your website is it's not necessarily meant to be an e-commerce site, even though it has e-commerce capability, but it's more of an informational hub?
Yes. You said it way more succinctly than that last diatribe of mine.
What kind of people would you want to serve?
I think anybody. I haven't thought it out and said this is my demographic. Anyone who might find it interesting, I think that there in the reptile community, there's definitely like one topic. I just want to see sides come together and understand that on some of the different topics and the herp community that there are compromises and that we need to understand each other, like snake racks versus bioactive terrariums and things like that. That we are all part of the same hobby. We all need to step up our game, no matter where we're at, and just accept. We don't have to do things, but we have to accept that changes can be made. And that's just one example. But I want all those people to join in and understand that we're all kind of like. I might be going down a different road here. I just love the hobby so much, and I kind of want to share that and remind people that we all love these animals.
The reason why I'm asking that is because your website has snakes on it, but you have a turtle podcast.
Oh yeah,
and trying to figure out how that all mixes together.
So the turtles are more, well, honestly, in my experience, I listen to a lot of different podcasts. There are a lot more snake-centered podcasts than there are turtle-centric podcasts, for sure. There's even a lot more lizard podcasts. There's only a few, and there's some good ones. I think Colonia Cast, the Turtle Room are two that come immediately to mind that are turtle-focused. But there's really not much outside of that. And my podcast is centered strictly on that. We're really only talking turtles and tortoises, and with people who are also interested in that. And then I'm just trying to add a personal kind of life component to some of the episodes as well. I can see how that might be confusing, though. I personally, my turtles and tortoises that I keep at home, the focus for those animals is more as pets. If they breed, that's okay. But I'm not I don't have like a rigid routine. I'm not trying to produce them. I enjoy just working with those animals. The kids really enjoy working with those animals. They have great big personalities, a lot more than the pythons that I work with. And they need a lot more conservation efforts. I think there's only 360 species of turtles and tortoises, and like half of them are threatened with something. So I think I'm just very passionate about the conservation and work with these animals. And that's more of a passion project without any business related, I guess, motives there. I'm not trying to make money off of turtles. Whereas the snakes, I definitely enjoy taking care of them. I love carpet pythons, and I had to work through a lot of different species that I was interested in to realize that I want to focus on Morelia. And I do love working with those. The kids enjoy some of it. They're a little more hesitant than with a box turtle. But I'm definitely a little more focused on breeding and producing offspring with the snakes than I am with the turtles. So I guess you can say it's one is definitely more commerce driven than the other, but it's tough to say that without saying I'm focused on the financial aspects of that.
What are your plans going forward?
My plans going forward are the number one thing I have to do is to stay consistent. That's what and my plans are to constantly have ideas in the oven that are cooking, not just written down ideas, but like with podcasts, if you don't have a few ready to go or have guests lined up or topics lined up, it's easy to not do one. And I don't want to lapse. Yeah. I want to keep current, and my personal goal is just stay consistent, stay steady. And I think that's how you build a following, you build trust, and then you can start really connecting with people, which is what it's mostly about, sharing that information and connecting with like-minded individuals. And my goal is to keep doing that and growing that and getting people involved. I do my podcast runs through Anchor, which is free. It's Anthony Pierleone he's part of the the Turtle Room podcast, the Pondcast. He also does one called Turtlely Devoted with his wife, and they kind of introduced me to Anchor, and it is free. And they give you the option almost right out of the box to do advertisements and get paid, but I keep turning those down. It's not something I'm interested in right now. One day we'll see if I can build something up, but right now it's not something I want to. I don't have a whole lot of downloads. I don't have a whole lot of streams. and I don't want to give a listener an ad right away, when they come to listen. There's nothing wrong with that for everybody. Personally, I just want it to be an intimate, personal conversation with me and my guest co-hosts from beginning to end.
Circling back to the website, have you reached any limitation from the GoDaddy web builder that you of a feature or something that you wish you could do beyond what it makes available to you?
Currently, no, but I am not pushing it in any way. Going into it, I wanted the website to be very basic. The first one I built, and just from the first one I built was really complicated. Like you'd hover over the toolbar or one of the things in the menu, and it would drop down, and then you'd hover over one of those, and then it dropped down. And that I just realized that as a user, I think that was too much. And I should mention that before I started web designing through GoDaddy, and while I was doing it, I was constantly looking at people's websites, other people who are similar, to see what I liked and didn't like, and kind of honed in onto the general shape that I want and design that I wanted it to look like. And I wanted it to be simple. I didn't want an overly long page, although my home page might be a little long, but I think it's okay. I don't know if you've seen it, and I'd love some feedback.
Yep.
But I just wanted about 4, maybe 5 at the top, and I didn't want anything else on each of those pages. I just wanted those 5 things. And one of them is a terms and conditions page that I think is absolutely vital if you're going to have a web page where you're selling animals. But yeah, I think it was just keeping it very, very simple, and that's my plan moving forward with the site. And we'll see. I haven't reached anything that GoDaddy wasn't able to accommodate. It doesn't mean that there isn't something, but I'm not in a place, and I don't anticipate being in a place soon, where I will really be pushing the envelope of what GoDaddy can do.
All right, Ryan. I think that covers the questions I have for you. Is there anything about your experience that you'd like to share with anybody who is just starting out and running into all of these questions that you had to answer?
There's a lot of things. I think the biggest thing for me, the hardest part is doing it. I will say that. The hardest part for me personally is just doing it. I thought about doing a podcast for years, and it just got to the point, years. And it just got to the point where, like, I'm just going to do it. A website I had thought about for, like I said, I was thinking about it for like all of 2022. And then I just was like, I got to do it. I've got to see what's out there. So I just start going through the different web builders and see if there's something that you can build that you like, and just roll with it. There's YouTube videos out there for anything you might have a question with. Take advantage of those. There's folks like you. I reached out to you, and you responded pretty quickly with some great feedback that was very helpful, and I appreciate that. I joined some Facebook groups for anything that I'm interested in, like podcasting or blogging or web design. Just tapping into any resources I could find. Just don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid to reach out to people. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, and rip the Band-Aid off and kind of just get out there. Push yourself to do it. What's the worst thing that can happen? Maybe it doesn't work out for you, but maybe it does. I get a lot of satisfaction from updating the website. I look forward to now the weekly blogs publishing. I look forward to updating like the new available offspring, or putting a new video in the YouTube section. And I get a lot of enjoyment out of that because I'm kind of a creative person, and it's a beautiful outlet for you as well. So just get into it and do it, and listen to podcasts like Reptile Entrepreneur.
That's right. All right, Ryan, thank you very much. And we will watch and see where you go with this.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Welcome back. Ryan, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to use you as an educational experience. So first of all, let's start off with the fact that no matter what outreach you put together, the most important thing is to know what your purpose is. And for those of you wondering about purpose and promise and that kind of thing, I have episodes on that. But basically, the purpose is why you do something. It takes a lot of effort to put together a website, a podcast, and keep up a social media outreach. why are you doing it in the first place? And once you are clear as to what your purpose is, then everything else falls into place a whole lot easier. In this case, Ryan's purpose, as he said at the beginning of the interview, was to have fun and to enjoy it. And so, mission accomplished. Ryan has accomplished his goal and is enjoying what he is doing. And so, what we're going to do in this analysis is we're going to talk about scenarios as to where, if you were in a position like Ryan, where you could take it. But I need to be clear that none of what I'm about to go over is criticizing what Ryan is doing at all, because he is exactly fulfilling his purpose. He has his job working with the zoo, and so this is just his side thing. The most important thing about this is that he has fun with it. If he's not going to have fun, there's no reason to do it. Now, your purpose may be to, if you were in this situation, maybe to sell snakes or to create a much more robust outreach on the education of turtles. These are two scenarios that, well, let's go ahead and explore. Now, before we get into various scenarios, let's go ahead and get into some basic theory as to how to deal with all of these digital elements. The most important thing is that you have a consistent funnel, a focus, that your potential customers are not confused and they go straight to where you want them to go. This is called, in our terminology, a funnel. A funnel, in basic terms, is something where you have components for reach, meaning going out and getting people and saying, hey, are you interested in this? And conversion, which is saying, okay, now that you're interested in this, go ahead, here's the opportunity to buy what you're interested in. An example could be Instagram account for reach. So you're using the tools on Instagram, the Reels, and you are making Reels about snakes. If you want to sell snakes, your purpose is to sell snakes. So we're making Reels about snakes. And what that does is it uses the Instagram algorithm to find people that are interested in snakes. So they see your Reels. And for those who aren't on Instagram, Reels are short form video. It's same with TikTok. Say Instagram sees your Reels. And the reason why I'm using the example of Reels is because of all the tools on Instagram, like stories, your still images, main feed, all of these things. It is Reels that get the most reach. And so it's going to be exposed to the most number of people. And so they see your Reel. They decide they like what you have on there, your snakes. Wow, I like those carpet pythons. I want to follow this account to get more carpet python content. So that's the reach component. And now you want to bring them to where they can buy your carpet pythons. In this case, that is your website. And so what you're going to want to do is have your website be the link that's in your Instagram bio and referencing that you have a website in your reel. So like, for more information, find my website, the links in the bio, that kind of thing. You're essentially trying to get people to come to the website. And it doesn't stop at Instagram. You say you also have a YouTube channel. So you're creating videos, long form videos on YouTube. And it's about carpet pythons, how to take care of them, all the husbandry. And in the description, you have a link to your website where you have more information. Maybe on your website, you have a blog there that talks about carpet pythons. And what that's doing is it's using the Google search algorithm on google.com to bring people to your blogs. And so all of these are reach components, the top of the funnel, that are bringing people to the place where they can actually purchase your carpet pythons. And the takeaway here is you have a direct path from all of your reach components, whether it be TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, podcast, and they all of these things work together to funnel the people to one point that serves your purpose. And if it's selling snakes, all of these things are directing the people that they gather and are enjoying all of the content that you're producing. They all come to this one location on your website where you can sell the snakes. And that is a coherent sales funnel. Now, here's where you can ruin that funnel by just throwing too much out there. Say you were talking about Instagram being your reach tool. You go to the link in the bio, and do you have 5 different places that they can go? You've got your website, you've got your YouTube, you've got your TikTok. Well, this is not a funnel. What you're doing is you're bringing people that you reached via Instagram, and you are showing them your other reach tools. And so if they come to Instagram, and they can bounce off of your link of bio and go to the TikTok and then go to your YouTube, but you see how none of this is bringing them to where you want them to go. And so it's not a good idea for your reach elements to send the people to other reach elements. Everything needs to coherently channel the people to your website. And you see another advantage here. With most of those reach tools, it's an area of high distraction. We are taking people that are going through their scrolls and they're getting all of this dopamine from YouTube. You've got people watching your video, but there's cute cat videos over on the right-hand side. And so there's always distractions, and you can always lose somebody from these very dopamine intensive reach tools. And so when you bring them to the website, you are the only one on their mind. There are no distractions, no places that they could go. Now, let's go ahead and switch this around. Say you're a YouTuber, and that's where you make your money. You make your money from the ads on YouTube. In that case, you don't want people to go to the website. You actually want the website to be a reach tool for getting people in from the Google search algorithm. And so if you're clear as to what your purpose is for people to watch your YouTube videos, then you know that you can't put stuff on the website that's going to make them stay on the website. Things that are on the website need to funnel them to your YouTube channel. Now, on one hand, this is easy because you can embed YouTube videos on your website. And that's actually a nice way to do it because, like I said about the high distraction environment of YouTube, well, they can watch videos on your website without all that distraction and the possibility that you're going to lose them. That said, if a YouTuber came to me and asked, should I have a website? We'd have a discussion about it and say, okay, what benefit are you going to get from a website? Because nowadays, the Google search algorithm actually uses videos in their search results. Not only videos, but short form videos in their search results. And so they are integrating all of the material that's coming in on YouTube into the Google search results. So you don't need, if you're a YouTuber, you don't need a website to get Google search traffic. Now, this is relatively new. So you may have heard a couple of years ago me talking about how everybody needs a website and even YouTubers need a website. Well, things change very quickly in this world, and I'd say at this point, it's like 50-50 as to whether you really need a website if you're a YouTuber. You may say, well, what about merchandise? Yeah, well, YouTube has a merch shelf, which allows them to buy your merchandise from there. And even these link in bio tools like Linktree, those have add-ons that you can add on that allow people to go to merch stores from there. And so it's becoming less and less of a necessity for YouTubers to have a website. But if you're going to be selling snakes, well, that all of a sudden changes everything, and now you need a website. And so you see, this whole thing is not about adding on as many digital outreaches as you can. It's about figuring out which digital tools help you achieve your goal, your purpose. So let's close off our analysis of scenario 1 with an overview. High level, you decide that you want to get more serious about snake breeding, whether this is Ryan deciding that he wants more of an income from his snake breeding, or you have decided that you want to start a snake breeding operation and you want to put together the digital elements that will best help you be successful. In this case, you want to find the reach elements that would find your audience. If you want to do long form video, that's YouTube. Short form video, that's YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram. If you're good at writing, that's a blog on your website. You choose which of those reach elements you want. Ideally, it's something that you enjoy and something that you're good at. It is not a good thing to have all of them unless you can support all of them. See, this is the trap of social media. Everything is free and they shove it into your face. You need this. And the truth is, you don't need it. What you need is one or two things that you can do very well. And you want these things to concentrate on what you want to sell. So if you want to sell carpet pythons, then this should be a blog, videos, short form video. Any of these things should deal with carpet pythons. And so you're going to be gathering all the people who are very much interested in carpet pythons. From those reach elements, you bring them to the website, which you funnel them very, very quickly to the point where they can actually buy the snakes. And during this process, my strong advice is don't give them options. Tell them exactly one thing that you want them to do. Go to my website. Go to my website. Check out my website. As soon as you say, check out my YouTube, if you're on Instagram, well, then you're sending them to another reach element. And that makes them circle and orbit your purpose, not go down to where you need them. So even if you have 3 different reach elements, remember, send people to the website, not your other reach elements. All right, let's go to scenario 2. Say that Ryan wants to do more with his turtle education outreach. And this is another way of coming at it to say, if you want to become an influencer. There are many influencers out there on YouTube, podcasting, even TikTok and Instagram have names that are there just for the outreach. They're for the education of turtles, chameleons, or whatever. Now, we can be doing this because we just enjoy it, or we want to build a community, or we can make it actually a side income with affiliate income and other digital products that we can sell. If Ryan decided that he wanted to do more with the Let's Talk Turtles podcast and create a more of a turtle educational outreach, well, then he's already got his main platform, which is the podcast. And he could always add on YouTube. But now you can see when he has his reach elements, would be Instagram and TikTok, he's always talking about turtles, and he'd be always talking about go to my podcast or go to my YouTube channel, whichever he decides. And the website just becomes a place where he can have his blogs, which are going to bring people in from the Google search engine. At this time, Google is toying with using podcasts in search results. They're trying to figure out how to do it effectively. And so that isn't developed yet as a reach tool. So if podcasting is your medium, you will need to do something if you want to get that Google search traffic, and a blog is the perfect thing. This works out very well because every show has show notes, and that's another post which Google is going to reference. And so you can see how this example from Ryan encapsulates 2 of the most common entrepreneurial outreaches of the reptile community, and that is being a breeder as well as being an influencer. And so he's going to be having these reach tools of Instagram and TikTok and whatever, and they are going to be bringing people that are interested in carpet pythons to the website, whereas the website is just going to be a reach tool in itself, bringing people who are interested in turtles through the website to the podcast. And so if you keep all that straight in your head, you can be the ringmaster of a 3-ring circus as you bring all the people who are interested in carpet pythons to the website, as you're flowing people who are interested in turtles out to the podcast. And if someone were to come to me and ask how I would set all of that up, I would actually set up different accounts for the turtles, different accounts for the carpet pythons, and that way I keep my audiences separate. And it's much easier to direct the flow of traffic when everything is separated. Now, that being said, you do it the way you feel good about it. If you want to have your Instagram account be the same Instagram account for butterflies and porcupines, well, then as long as that is your passion and you are going to play it up and you're going to serve both of those audiences at the same time so they're both entertained, have at it. The internet is full of people doing things that other people say you shouldn't do, and they're doing it well. But when you do have an account that has 2 separate niche interests, then the people who end up enjoying that account are the people who start coming there for you and your personality. You can use this to fulfill one or both of your purposes, but there are added complications when you start juggling different audiences. And so let's go ahead and bring this to a close. The takeaways from this episode are to figure out what your purpose is and then create a funnel that's going to reach out into the general populace and bring back the people who are interested in what serves your purpose. You're welcome to have as many of these funnels as you can handle, but I do want to caution you against getting too many social media accounts that you cannot effectively manage and overwhelming yourself with too many funnels. The more outreaches you have, the more diluted your efforts are in both of those outreaches because you only have a certain amount of time that you can allocate to this digital chaos that we're all playing in. And so, coming back to where we started, the most important thing for you to do is figure out what your purpose is. What do you want out of all of the effort that you're putting into this? And from there, build on the components necessary to gather the people and fulfill that purpose. And if your purpose is just to have fun, I would recommend that you casually listen to all of this advice and only bring it up when you want to get serious, because it's very easy to get caught up in optimizing everything that you do to the point where it isn't fun anymore. At this point, Ryan's doing exactly what he should do. He is playing around with YouTube, podcasting, blogging, and Instagram, and he's getting a feel for all of that. And that's what all of us should do until he decides, you decide, I decide, okay, I want to get serious about this particular part. And if you've spent your time where you're just having fun exploring all these different tools and outreaches, well, then when it comes time for you to actually have a purpose where you say, I want to be serious about that, you will be experienced in all those different outreach methods, and you can put together an effective funnel for your purpose. And of course, I love to hear how other people have done things. And so please do not feel shy reaching out to me and letting me know what your situation is. Ryan, I want to thank you very much for letting us use your situation as a hopping off point to explore these different scenarios. And to all of us, I say, take care of yourself, take care of our reptile community, and let's see what we can build. This is Bill Strand signing off. I'll see you next time.